as protests have sprung up across the United States of America against Donald Trump. Trump's psychotic morning posts are only accelerating. Let's show you what Donald Trump is posting and doing this morning. You can see his demented mind is getting absolutely worse, more dangerous, and frankly, the cognitive issues are clearly accelerating. Let's take a look at the posts from this morning. These were at 6 a.m. East Coast time when these posts were made. Donald Trump writes, "The Gaza Strip would be turned over to the United States by Israel at the conclusion of fighting. The Palestinians, people like Chuck Schumer," he's calling Schumer a Palestinian, "would have already been resettled in far safer and more beautiful communities with new and modern homes in the region. They would actually have a chance to be happy, safe, and free. The U.S., working with great development teams from all over the world, would slowly and carefully begin the construction," because what would become the greatest thing ever. It should be noted that Egypt, Jordan, Saudi Arabia have all viewed this idea of Israel just completely ethnic cleansing and wiping out Gaza and moving Palestinians to some other land. One, it's a non-starter. Two, it's a declaration of war as these Middle East nations see it. And of course, the Palestinians are not okay with this plan would be an understatement. Donald Trump's diplomatic humiliation continues as well, as his Department of State just posted, U.S. government vessels can now transit the Panama Canal without charge fees, saving the U.S. government millions of dollars a year, with a photo of the Panama Canal. But somebody might want to tell Panama because it seems like they have no clue about this fake deal. The Panama Canal Authority writes, in response to a publication released by the United States Department of State, the Panama Canal Authority, which is authorized to set tolls and other fees for transiting the canal, reports that it has not made any adjustments to them. The Panama Canal Authority, as it has indicated, is fully prepared to engage in dialogue with relevant United States officials regarding the transit of U.S. warships. Panama, February 5th, 2025. It should be noted as well that many of the United States aircraft carriers can't even fit through the Panama Canal. They are too big. Let's take a look at the next post from Donald Trump's all caps. And again, if you saw somebody post this who you worked with, who you knew, if you had a friend who sent you a text message like this today, just think about this, and it looked like this, you would probably believe that your friend is psychotic. You'd probably declare a doubt and say that that individual needs an involuntary psych hold under 5150 in California. But this is the leader of the United States right now that these spineless Republicans prop up, and they and corporate media pretend this is normal. Here's what Donald Trump writes. He goes, "Looks like billions of dollars have been stolen at U.S. aid and other agencies, much of it going to the fake news media as a payoff for creating good stories about the Democrats. The left-wing rag known as Politico seems to have received $8 million. Did the New York Times receive money? Who else did? This could be the biggest scandal of them all, perhaps the biggest in history. The Democrats can't hide from this one. Too big, too dirty." So let me be clear what this is all about. A WMD, a weapon of mass distraction, as Donald Trump and Elon Musk are literally breaching your data, as they are gutting your Medicare, Social Security, as they want to set up a private sovereign wealth fund to transfer wealth to more billionaires, as they're quite literally taking private data. They could be pickpocketing you as they're engaging in all of this behavior, as Musk is sending 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 21-year-olds into different government agencies, shutting them down, firing everybody at the CIA or giving them separation agreements. As well as the Department of State or the Department of Justice, as well as the FBI, as they are getting rid of the Department of Justice kleptocracy unit, which is the one that seizes all of the foreign fraud, and they're taking all of that money. They're talking about USAID taking $8 million to a left-wing rag Politico. First off, Politico's not a left-wing rag, okay? There has not been a lot of favorable coverage to the Democrats. Perhaps Democrats wish there was favorable coverage to it, but as Mehdi Hassan says, this is another reminder of the power of right-wing propaganda and the failure of mainstream media coverage. More people probably have heard of USAID funding Politico. By the way, it isn't. It's not. It hasn't, than about USAID funding anti-malaria programs, which were just cut off and frozen by Musk and Trump, as well as programs to provide women who are pregnant with HIV the drugs that they need to avoid the transmission to their kids, and those kids may die. There are so many programs where children, vulnerable people across the world are literally going to die right now because of the attack on USAID, which John F. Kennedy created as a way to have America's soft power felt throughout the world, so America could be a leader in helping other countries. By the way, before Trump, Republicans loved these programs, and also in Republican red states, especially ones that were caused by the Trump administration's prior issues, they would be able to also, when they would grow stuff on their farms, you could send that stuff to overseas and farms can make money on it as well. But as Isaac Saul does a great fact check here, he goes, all right, I swear this is the last time I'm going to try to explain this, but nobody can read government documents. So here it goes. Politico did not get $8 million a year from USAID. It got $8 million from 2016's fiscal year to 2025 from all government agencies and all departments. USAID spent a grand total of $44,000 on something called Politico Pro subscriptions over 2 years. That's it. It was a subscription to their trade publication, which prints out the ongoing legislation that exists. All of this information has always been freely available. There's nothing hidden about this. It's all public at usaspending.gov, the source website where everybody is getting these numbers from. It wasn't like Elon went in and found this thing. Politico Pro is not politico.com, the website you are familiar with. It is a subscription service that has dashboards, tools, legislative tracking, etc. In many cases, it costs north of $10,000 a year per subscription. If you are sharing claims counter to these, you are spreading disinformation because you don't know how to read a government database. I just wanted to clear that up. Then Donald Trump posts, CBS and 60 Minutes defrauded the public by doing something which has never to this extent been seen before. They 100% removed Kamala's horrible election-changing answers to questions and replaced them with completely different and far better answers taken from another part of the interview. This was election-changing stuff, election interference, and quite simply election fraud at a level never seen before. CBS should lose its license, and the cheaters at 60 Minutes should all be thrown out at this disreputable, quote, news show should be immediately terminated. With the new Democrat scandal that just arose with respect to USAID illegally paying large sums of money to Politico and other media outlets, the question must be asked, was CBS paid for committing this fraud? Many other questions to come. This will go down as the biggest broadcasting scandal in history. No, you know what the biggest scandal in history is? You said there was going to be peace in Ukraine in 24 hours, and you lied. You said that prices were going to be lower immediately, and you lied. They are higher. You said you were going to come in and make housing more affordable, and you lied. Housing is less affordable, and mortgage rates are going up because of you. You said that we weren't even going to need taxes, and we can just get rid of all of the IRS because you had big, beautiful tariffs, you said. So you threatened our allies in Canada. You threatened our allies in Mexico with a trade war. And then as you were about to execute the trade war, you then backed down off the trade war as those countries and the world united against you. And you made fake deals with those countries to get nothing at all. And then you pretend there was a deal when in fact those countries got more than they had before. We want to talk about what the biggest scandal in history is. is that there's an ongoing coup taking place of our government agencies by unelected billionaires right now who are sending 19 and 22-year-old kids into government offices and taking the data that belongs to we the people, information about Medicare and Medicaid, information about Social Security, information about bank loans and banking data to people who don't belong in there. You want to know what a bigger scandal is? Perhaps your cognitive decline right now, because you're still talking about the election that unfortunately 49% of voters actually selected you. And you want to talk about that CBS interview, Donald, because you were too chicken, the same way you're too chicken with all of the stuff that when you threaten this nation, that nation, you always back down because you're weak. And here on CBS, you were too weak to even show up for the CBS interview. You were scared. Vice President Kamala Harris sat there for the interview. You were too scared to even show up for the interview. You wouldn't do the interview at all. And now you're attacking CBS. You're saying they should lose their license. And by reference, you're threatening Paramount, which is trying to do a merger right now. So you're trying to exert pressure so they personally settle with you in the frivolous lawsuit that you filed against them in Texas to go forum shopping in Texas against them, where you filed Texas unfair business practices claims against them. That's what I think is the biggest scandal as well. You know what I think is one of the biggest scandals as well, Donald, too? How about this right here, what we learned, which is that the Trump's Department of Justice this morning killed its elite anti-corruption unit, the Kleptocracy Initiative, famous for seizing Russian oligarch yachts, prosecuting the 4.5 billion 1MDB fraud. That was quietly disbanded. In an email sent last night that not a lot of people are talking about, the new Attorney General Pam Bondi, who was chilling in the Oval Office with the corrupt, bribed off Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, like a literal crook in the Supreme Court. They announced the immediate closure of both the kleptocracy initiatives and the task force for klepto capture, the units that recovered billions in stolen assets since 2010. But here's the real story. Sources say the key objective is gaining control now of the multi-billion-dollar forfeiture fund, where all of that money was taken, money seized from the corrupt officials that was meant to be returned to victim countries. So where is all this money, the billions of dollars that the Department of Justice seized from the foreign crooks who are committing crimes here? Well, Bondi's memo cryptically now says that it's going to go to other law enforcement purposes, which multiple sources says means to creating and building the concentration camps like the one in Guantanamo Bay, where, by the way, Donald Trump is sending his own supporters, like those Venezuelans in South Florida who were on TPS, protected status, who pretended that Donald Trump was going to save them. He revoked their TPS, now taking the money that was seized by the DOJ, going after dictators and bad guys like Nicolas Maduro, and then taking people and putting them in concentration camps or sending them back to Maduro. I mean, so utterly ridiculous right there. More deranged and unhinged posts from Donald Trump, post after post. Oh, and then after this all, he has the audacity to go to the National Prayer Breakfast, where he talks about teasing the fact that he may run again. They say that I can't run again, but maybe he's going to run for office again. You know, maybe he'll just stay in power. Here, watch this clip.
And I do that despite the fact that they say I can't run again. That's the expression, sir. Then somebody said, I don't think you can. Oh. Now, I want to be with you regardless, and it's an honor, and it's something I've enjoyed. I've actually met some very nice Democrats here. That's true. I have.
So that right there is what went down this morning. I'll keep you posted every step of the way here on the MeidasTouch Network. Hit subscribe, and let's get to 4 million subscribers. Thank you so much for watching.
Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.